Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 96. Yeah, man. I've been reading this How to Rap book and whatnot, and and to be honest with you, I laid on a couple tracks, and not that I'm rusty, but I definitely need to practice a lot more. The thought process is there, but um how to lay down the raps and how to pronunciate the words, how to drag it out and everything. Like this book literally breaks it down. Anything from like flow to rhyme scheme, rhyme schemes, how flow works, overlapping bars and all kinds of stuff, right? And when I originally first started rapping like 15 years ago, I would write everything down. Um, but I didn't know how to write. I didn't know how to break it up into bars. I was like I still write my raps like they're poetries, So write them like they're haikus and whatnot, right? And so but in a way, over the years, not that I stopped writing because I never really stopped writing. I just developed a different way of um, how to be more proficient with the freestyles and everything too. Because number one, I remember when I was a freshman in high school, we used to have rap battles, and it was never me, but it was just a bunch of the upperclassmen, and guys would just rap. And some of these cats were real good. And a lot of these cats they had the flow, they had the creativity, and like none of it was ever malicious, but it was just super dope because I was a freshman in high school in 2002. So that was back when battle rapping was still a thing. That was back when battle rapping was something new. I mean, not new, but it was new to me. So, and being around that, being around different people, musically, um, was definitely a really really cool thing for me to see, especially at such a young age. Because what was it? Yeah, I was 13 going on 14, and so just me being around older people who just were just musically just inclined, who were a lot better than I was. And I still keep in contact with some of the cats too. A lot of cats I know, they still play music. They're still doing their thing, and yeah, and I think but I have to get back to getting better at my craft because when I was laying down the tracks the other night, I'm like, yo, like, not that I didn't have the creativity, but how I wanted it to come out just wasn't coming out the way it was coming out the way I wanted to come out. And so with that being said, it was I was I originally have bought both of these books because it's How to Rap and How to Rap Too. Basically, it's just teaches you how to like overlapping bars and rhymes and flow and all that stuff, right? And I forget who said it in the book, but it said if you by writing down your raps, you're actually teaching your brain how to memorize the raps and everything too. And I remember doing that a lot to the point where I would write down my raps and I could in my head I'd be like, okay, like I wanted it to sound this way. So when I wrote it down, I would actually drag it out. And so that was really that was really uh beneficial for me. But the main point of this podcast, I digress because I am working on a couple tracks today. I made 3 tracks last night. So I got to sit down with my rhyme book and I gotta actually come up with a concept. Because usually what I do, I make the beat first, with a concept in mind, and then I write the rhymes and whatnot. So um, so yeah, I got the 3 tracks I'm gonna work on today, and I'm gonna get those done, and I'm gonna keep practicing until I get it better. But the main point of this podcast, man, I was actually reading an article on social media talking about how people stay in jobs that they hate just simply because they can't leave. And basically, what it comes down to is like, yeah, I get it. People have bills, they have families and whatnot. So up and quitting a job isn't, the most smart thing to do. Yeah, because unless you're a trust fund baby, most of the time you have to work in a. Well, not that you have to work in that environment. You value the money over the paycheck, and I mean, you value the paycheck over your mental health, and that's never the case, man. You should never be doing that. Um, and it's true. He said something like only 25% of people who left the workforce, 75% of people thought about it. Only 25% of people did it, and that's alarming. But then it makes me think of my situation too. You can like what you do, but not like the people you work with. So and when I say that, and it's true. You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. And never be afraid to be like, you know what, I'm cool with this. I don't, I don't need this. I don't need the passive aggressiveness, the hostility, the stonewalling, the lack of leadership. And a lot of the times too is like, a lot of people will create issues or create problems and don't want to fix the problems. And in turn, that all that creates is just it creates tension in the workplace because you can't sit there and create a problem and then wonder why the other person doesn't want nothing to do with you. It's because of what you did, it's because of how you carry yourself. It's because of how you talk to that individual, or how you talk about other people to other people about certain individuals. And I think that's extremely important to realize that, because it's like a lot of the times, all that stuff is it's 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 bred, it's bred into the environment. It's something that happens whether consciously or unconsciously. And if you can recognize that and just get the hell out of Dodge, because a lot of places like that, that explains to you why the turnover rate is so high. When I say high, I mean anything above 50%, or or if people leaving in succession and whatnot too. And it's like, you gotta, like, you might want to start looking around, but like, oh, I've been here a year, and like X amount of people have left. I mean, disregarding the people who've moved out of state or whatever it is, or I'm talking about people who just left the field entirely, by themselves, right? So you gotta look around, and you gotta think of like, oh, if you're losing X amount of people, and the people that are replacing them is like they're not getting the proper training or whatever it is, it's like you gotta look around. You gotta not necessarily protect yourself, but you gotta protect yourself. Because a lot of the times when that happens, it's something to do with the way the management is leading or whatever it is. And so, but at the end of the day, that article is true. A lot of people are afraid to leave their job simply because of what I just stated. And I think it's sad, the fact that people got to choose between happiness, their happiness, and their job. Because a lot of the times we do come to work, and and we want to get along with people, and we want to have this harmony and whatnot. But in reality, like, there are some people who just for whatever reason aren't gonna like you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it has nothing to do with you. And that says a lot about them than anything else. And when I say that, I don't mean that, well, like, I don't want to say that nothing's ever your fault. But what I mean is, like, if people are treating you a certain way, or they're talking down to you, or they think they're, that you're incapable of doing your job when they don't do your job, like I said, that says more about them than anything else. So at the end of the day, there's this one quote that Gary Vee had once said. I forget who he was talking to, but he was talking to these two young girls, and they must have. Oh, this is like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. So what? We was in our 20s then, or I was in my 20s then, and and the girl was saying, oh, how much she hates her job, this and this and that, yada yada yada. And then Gary Vee goes, oh, okay, what do you hate or what do you dislike about your job? And she ran through a list. And he goes, okay, do you dislike the people you work with, or is it the job itself? And she's like, I just dislike the people I work with. And he's like, okay. And he's like, well, honestly, my personal opinion is like, if you can afford to do this because this is your decision, go ahead and be broke for a while. Quit your job, and go find something else that you want to do. But you gotta understand that the situation that you put yourself in, that's 100% on you, and it's true. A lot of people will just like say, oh my God, this and this and that, yada yada yada, whoop de whoop, right? But in reality, there's nothing worse than staying in a job that doesn't bring you happiness, that stresses you out, and me personally, from a personal standpoint, I 100% agree with what Gary Vee said, because it's true. At the end of the day, we're all here, to be productive members of society, chase our goals, do what we want to do, and do it to the best of our ability. We're not here just to get 2 weeks of vacation every year, X amount of, sick leave and, personal days, and work 30, 40 years and retire and die, We're not here for any of that. But what we are here for is to realize is like, a lot of the times when you're not happy in your current situation, that means one thing: you're not doing what you want to do, And when I say you, I don't mean you per se. I mean other people around you. So if other people around you are complaining or doing whatever, yada yada, whoop de whoop, if that's the case, then you don't need to be around that. And it's okay. It's okay that other people have their thoughts, their feelings about you, because what they think about you is really none of your concern. And so with that being said, man, if you guys are in a situation where you're in a toxic environment, or you just you feel like you're stuck, by all means, jump. Go chase your goals, or do whatever you want to do. Go write a book. Go write that book. Work on an album like I'm doing. You never want to sit there and work a 9 to 5 that just sucks the life out of you. Because the days of working a 9 to 5 and being content with being in a shitty situation have been long gone. I've never been a fan of people who just stay in jobs just to stay in jobs. And that goes for relationships, friendships, it doesn't matter. The relationships I will talk about at a later time, because that's a topic. That's a topic that deserves. Matter of fact, that's gonna be next weekend's topic. Relationships. Matter of fact, let me go open up my Microsoft Word and make bullet points for it. But yeah, man, it's like, if you, like I said, and I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but if you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're not growing, that you're stagnant, that you're stuck, by all means, leave it. Anyway, y'all, this is about 14 and a half minutes of your life that you won't get back. Hope y'all keeping it 4 piece, private player, positive pushing. I'll see y'all next week. Love y'all. Ghost. And like I always say, know your worth. Love y'all.